Alright, we are back. We've got another setup today. This is going to be a Les Paul setup in drop C. We're going to be putting Mammoth Slinkies on here. Right off the bat, everything seems okay, except for this. This is a big red flag. Don't ever string your guitar this way. You want them to be inside the post. This is wrong. Just don't do that. If you do that, we're throwing hands. Anyway, we're going to get started. This is going to be a pretty quick one because I'm starting to get a little backed up between other instruments. So we're going to be using power tools this time around. If you don't have a drill bit winder, which you can get one of these on Amazon, you can connect this to a power drill or a Ryobi quick turn. You're going to use your hand winder. What else are we going to need? We're going to need a string action gauge. We're going to need some string cutters. We're going to need our radius gauge, probably a screwdriver. These are Phillips. This is flathead, so we're going to need the multi-tool kit, and we're going to need a Gibson wrench, which is a socket wrench that's 5/16 of an inch. These are pretty much all the essential tools you'll need. We will be using a fret guard and steel wool. Alternatively, you could use naphtha if you want. I don't really like to use naphtha. But yeah, we're going to get right to it, and more than likely this footage that I'm filming right now is going to get either muted or voiced over, but I will figure that out as I go. Maybe I'll use the raw audio because I'm still kind of figuring a lot of this out. So now, because this is strung the wrong way, I've got to treat it as if I'm winding it up. Now, right off the bat, I can also see that these are slotted for 10s, maybe even 9s, honestly. And we're going to be putting 12 to 62 gauge strings on there. So we will be using nut files to widen the slots of every slot as well. Widen the slots of each slot. Sounds redundant, I know. One of the main things that this channel will help me with is getting over my social anxiety. Public speaking has always been kind of something I struggle with. But now that I have this channel and this opportunity to film my work while also educating people on guitar repair, I'm also getting something out of it too, and that is overcoming my awkwardness, one awkward video at a time. So we got all our strings out. Again, these are all going to be chopped because the amount of time I get through my glasses is only 3 minutes. It's funny, I said 3 minutes and then it cut right out. So let's jump right in. First we're going to polish everything up because we got the strings off. And this is a guitar that didn't really need very much work. Oh yeah, I polished right over here. Spare a rag. I like to line these up with the string that will be fed through it when that time comes. That'll save you a few seconds, minutes maybe. Let's get this all wiped down first. There's not a whole lot of heavy oxidation on this, so we don't need to use white vinegar to soak any of the hardware. We can just use our rag with some polish and just kind of get in there. Now with this one, since I'm going to be drastically changing the tuning, you might have noticed I did not bother to check the relief, because not only are we changing the gauge of string, we're drop tuning it. It's going to be in drop C instead of E standard. So the neck is going to bow, and there's no point in checking it beforehand. It would just be gratuitous. I think that's the right word. One of these knobs here. There we go. Sweet. Wipe that down. Now let's move over to the body. You can see some sweat. That's where the arm seems to rest. You can even feel a graininess when you're wiping it off. Let's get that out of the way. Again, I don't really care about what these are set at because I'm going to be changing the setup almost entirely. So none of that really matters. So first things first, we just want to make sure everything's clean. We'll even do another pass at the end because, you know, as a tech and as you're working on the instrument, your fingerprints are going to get all over it. But it's good to just do a general clean. Especially while you have the strings off. Now, I'm going to be making cuts to this. You don't really need to see every step of the process this time around because by now we've got 2 other videos that also kind of cover a lot of these basics, okay? So we're going to cut right here. Okay, we basically wiped the guitar body down and the headstock. We'll just hit this little tail piece real quick. And again, we're going to polish everything one more time at the end. Now, since I didn't check the electronics before getting started, I'm just going to do a complimentary cleaning of them to make sure that there's no issues. Spray that with some deoxit. Let's flip this over. Get into the cavity. Remember, we like to have a little section and some tape here. Unscrew everything in the back. Sometimes these things don't want to lift up. Here, I'll use my handy dandy tweezers and just scoop that right on up. There we go. Alright, this is like a motherboard type of situation, so we're just going to spray in there. There we go. Let's put that away. Oh, this thing's getting kind of gunky. Almost time to replace that. Okay. Pop that back on. There we go. Jack is nice and tight, so I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so while we have the strings off, one thing we can do is just worry about the slotting of the nut and the saddles now. In this case, we're going to need, don't mind all the extra tools. I'm taking on an apprentice on Thursday, so we're going to be doing that as well. Let's see, 75, we got a 60. This gauge, 60, 48, 34, so we need 50, 60. We need a 42. And these ones, I might even have to tap it with the 75. So let's set all these down. There we go. Okay, starting with the 12. How do you tell which side is which? You just kind of have to look at it. You can see one side is finer than the other. In this case, it's that one. Now, I don't want to increase the depth of the slot. I just want to widen it. So really light. I mean, hardly any downward pressure whatsoever. I'm kind of just letting the file kiss it. There we go. That's kind of what we want to see right there. Hopefully you guys can see that because I know these glasses don't exactly get the angle I'm looking for. And again, it might look like I'm pressing down, but I'm not. I'm literally just allowing it to kind of glide through. That way I'm not lowering the action. We can do that once the strings are on. Let's see, we got a 16, so we can use the 20 for this next side. Same deal, just lightly, very lightly going over the slot. Make sure that it will take the string and it's not going to be popping out. It's a little better. That one feels good. Let's give this a little more. Not applying any downward pressure. And we've got a 24, so we can use this 26. Someone out there is probably watching this video and is watching it and like thinking this guy doesn't even know what his own files are. Well, joke's on you, I just barely got these. Before I was using the music nomad files, which are individual and numerical. So I knew exactly what I was using. But now with this, I'm getting used to the whole double edge thing. And these are a better quality. Much better quality. Let's use this one for the D. There we go. Now we need our 50 and our 60. 50 for this guy because we have a 48 gauge string right here. There we go. And then we're going to use our 60. We can even start with the 50 actually just to work our way toward it. And then we flip it over, go wider. And then we're gonna just kiss it with the 75, because that's way too much. That one's significantly wider. There we go, just one time. Let's get that 60 on there one more time here. There we go. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I lost the recording there because the 3-minute timer was up and then my Misfits playlist started going on Apple Music. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing on this side. We want to just widen the slot. We're not trying to re-radius anything. So we're just gently filing. So you're just trying to widen that slot. And that's it. Keep it from moving if you can. Always go at a downward angle. There we go. I'm going to use this next one as well because it's a 50. And again, I'm not applying any pressure. We're just widening the slot. These are pretty high quality files, and even when I use cheaper files, it's the same concept. Go, let's get our 42, 36 in this case. I think my cat wants to play. He's running around acting crazy. Okay, and we're going to use our 2632. No downward pressure, just letting it rest and going back and forth. The file is going to do the work for you. The only thing you need to make sure of is that you're going at a downward angle. And this one. There we go. Okay, and then if we've made any changes to the radius, once the strings are on and everything is set up, we can start to mess with that. This is starting to look like a piled up mess. I'm gonna have to give these tools to my apprentice on Thursday to free up some space. Let's put that over there. I don't need that today. Okay. I already gave this a pretty decent little wipe down. Oh yeah, we need to polish the frets and oil the board. What am I doing, right? And it wouldn't hurt to just get this out of the way now. While the strings are off, I like to expose the truss rod cavity because sometimes when the strings are on, it can be a little tough to get the cover out of the way. And again, this will be the wrench you use see if it actually catches. Sometimes you run into a thing where they've got like lacquer. This has probably never really been set up. Yeah, there we go. This is gonna probably need to be bowed quite a bit. There we go. Okay. Now, in my previous videos, I've used individual fret guards. In this case, we would use the widest one and go over each fret individually. So I will show you 1 or 2 frets, and then I will cut the video and we'll go on to the next step, because it's the same process for every fret. Again, always cover your pickup, because steel wool magnetizes to pickups. And it can be a pain in the butt to clean. It also helps if you have a little hand vacuum on deck. We'll just take a little look here. You can already see that difference. You can see these oxidized, dirty frets, and just a couple of quick passes with steel wool gets it looking close to brand new again. Once again, I'm not applying a ton of pressure. I'm not putting my whole arm into it or anything. I'm just going over the fret. I'm letting the steel wool do its job. I don't really need to apply pressure. See? Looks great. Let's go through a couple more so you can see the difference. As you can see, it gets all over the place, and that's why you want to vacuum. A little hand vac. You can use a brush too, but I like to use a hand vac. I've also seen some techs use a magnet. You get a nice little magnet and you can just magnetize all the steel wool to it. That's another hack. I might actually get a magnet just for that so I can show you guys. Here we go. Okay, now from here, I'm going to cut the video and then we're going to be oiling the board next. So by the time we get to the next clip, I will have hit the whole fretboard. I'll see you in just a sec. Alright, we are back. I polished every fret, got the steel wool out of the way. I also had to charge the glasses up a little bit, so I took advantage of doing that as well. So let's oil this board up. F1 oil from Music Nomad. As you might have already gotten the idea, I pretty much use almost everything from Music Nomad or StewMac. Let's get this on here. This fretboard felt very dry. So let's get this nice and oiled up. Now there's something very therapeutic about oiling a fretboard. You must see it. It's almost like an immediate gratification type of thing. It immediately starts to look a lot nicer. You can tell it was so dry just by how coarse it feels. Absorbed the oil so fast. There we go. Okay, now take a different side and rub everything in. Give it a sec to absorb. Let's put that away. I'm gonna go wash my hands. Okay, now we're gonna start stringing everything. We will also need to intonate the bridge. And these are flathead screws. So let's just get that ready now. I'm just gonna guesstimate here, because it's going to be tuned down, so bring all these back a little bit. Okay. Now we're using Mammoth Slinky strings, gauge 12 to 62. Did I even record? Yeah, we're recording. Cool. I had to double check. Now for this, I like to feed everything through the tailpiece before I even put it on the body. I can also take that off. That'll go in the trash in a moment. Come on. I don't want the string to get all tangled. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now we can rest the tailpiece on here. And we're going to lightly tune every string, see how that's sitting nice in the saddle. And it's sitting right here as well. Okay. These are pretty thick strings, as you can see, almost like a bass string. We don't need to slack this too much, but we want to give it about a half a fret, just like before, with every other restring we've done. We're just gonna pulse that. That's good. Okay, I have to throw that bag of strings away. Same deal with the A string, go back about a half a fret. Use our power drill. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, hey, I don't have one of those tools, that's fine. That is totally okay. You can use the hand winder. Same deal. Same concept. Let's get this next one on here. Now we're going to go back about a whole fret for each of these. And you notice we're going this way, we're wrapping it inside the post. Do not wrap your strings the opposite way. I've come across that a lot as a tech. And every time I see it, a little piece of me dies on the inside. Let's see here. I'll line this up as well. These thicker strings can definitely poke you, as it's doing to my wrist. It's pretty sharp too. So let's bend these up and out of the way. Slack up a little bit. Okay. There we go. Okay. Right off the bat, this is too low. Use our spanner. We're going to adjust that. You can also do this by hand. As long as the strings are not tight, you should be able to just turn it. These are already a little too tense, so you have to lower this or loosen it. Let's give it some slack here. You should be able to adjust everything. There we go. Now, we're going to plug this into our tuner, and we're going to get this guitar in tune, and that'll be the beginning of our setup, because we want to make sure it's at tension, at the tension that we need it to be at. And then C, C, G, C. Next one is going to be tuned to A. And the last one's going to be D. Okay, from here we're going to stretch everything just to make sure the tension is nice and locked in. Let's lower this. You can tell this pickup's already too high. C, G, C, F, A, and D. Give it another stretch. Do this a couple times. Now we want the action to feel the same way it would feel if this was, strung with 9s or 10s in E standard. Because of the heavier gauge and drop tuning, we're just compensating there. But that's about the tension, and that's about how it should feel. Or I guess like a guitar in drop D. So let's check what the action is at currently. That's at 4/64 of an inch, and this is at 6/64 of an inch. Cool. It's a little buzzy. You can see what the neck looks like. There's a little bit of a neck bow there. You can kind of see here, running along right there. Another way you can check again. Fret the first fret, fret the 17th fret, tap in the middle. It's a lot of relief right there. We're going to tighten this truss rod. Give these strings a little stretch. This is holding tune very well. What does this look like now? That's a little bit better. Much better actually for a drop tuning. Okay, we need to intonate it though. We also need to check the relief one more time. Still pretty good. Gonna check right here. Still a little bit of relief right there. Still a little bit of relief right there too. So we're going to get that neck nice and straight. Just a little bit of a turn now. These pickups are too close to these strings. The sweet spot is 8/64 of an inch. This will cause a fret buzz. It magnetizes the string and pulls it closer to the magnet of the pickup. The bridge, you can get away with the bridge being pretty close to the strings, but you definitely don't want your pick hitting the strings, so it's still nice to have a little bit of distance. There we go, it's a lot closer to the right spot. Closer to where we need it to be, not closer to the strings. Give it another stretch. There we go. Okay, now let's check the intonation, right? We're going to check the start with the D first, make sure this is right there. Don't want the tuner moving. There we go. Let's go out of tune. It's a little flat. So we're going to move this forward. So we moved it back a little too far before. A little more. There we go. Oh. Perfect. Check the A. Sounds good. Check the F. Not it's flat. This one needs to be pushed forward, flat forward, sharp back. Make sure it's in tune. You don't want the strobe moving. Detuned it a little too much. Yeah, it's still flat. So I'm going to check this again. stretch. Just a little more to get it perfect. There we go. This one's a little flat. Hold on. Okay, now we're going to check the D string, or C in this case. That's good. Check the G. That one's good. Check the lower C. It's a little sharp. Still sharp. So you might have to come all the way back. Still sharp. Let's give it a stretch. Still sharp. Let's get that wrench in there. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Close. Very close. This thing's almost going to be flush with the back of the bridge. Well, if that's the case, then this also probably needs to be raised ever so slightly. Yeah, so that was the problem. Okay, so we need to raise the action in this case. Sometimes you have to do that on top of moving the saddle back because you need to create enough of a break angle. Now we need to make sure we don't upset the intonation on the other strings. That's good still. Still a little sharp. That's good. Throw it out of tune. That one's flat again. Okay. Moving that up. Oh, fine again. Give it a stretch. Oh, too far. The G string and the D string on Les Pauls is always so sensitive because of the break angle of the neck. There we go. Sorry, I lost the feed right at the G string, and for some reason it wouldn't let me record anymore. Okay, so we need to move the saddle forward a little more here. Almost there. There we go. Still check that. Okay. Oh, let's move that back a little more now. Yeah, after adjusting the height of the bridge, I have to kind of intonate everything. There we go. What's our final action? 4/64 and 5/64. Fucking perfect. And just enough relief. Both sides. Cool, we're gonna clean this up, give it one more wipe down, cut the strings, put the truss rod cover back in, and we're gonna plug it in and test it out. I'm gonna cut the cord, or cut the feed now. Oh yeah, one last thing. We gotta make sure we check the radius, and look at that, it's not too bad. I could technically lower this one if I wanted to. There's a little bit of room there because it's a thicker string. Let's get the file back out. We need our 60. So let's slack this, get it out of the way. Now we're actually adding some downward pressure. Just a little. Make sure that string is in there nice and tight. Check this radius again. Let's pause at a 12-inch radius. Look at that. Still a little bit of clearance. Got plenty more room to move. Again, file at a downward motion. And in this case, when you're actually trying to take the material, you do want to add some pressure. You see all those little lines. Then once you're done with that, you just want to go over it lightly. Smooth that out a little bit. Get these little shards out of the way. Still so much room there. Everything else is touching, but this guy's got a lot of space. Now we can use the 75. Sure that's resting right in there. There we go. Alright, after using the 75, now it's making full contact. So that's good. And it's not budging. Now we give it one last wipe down. Just for that last little touch-up we did. Always check the radius. Radius bridge is a happy bridge, because then it follows the curvature of the frets. More love there. There we go. Okay. Now let's plug this in and give it a test.